Hey guys, welcome to my new YouTube channel. I slowed this down because I only recorded a little bit of footage. I'm really new at this. I got a ring light and I thought today I would show you how to do all the fun little steps that I think kind of go into a really well done cut crease kind of contoured eye look. I did a full face and I used some like taupey colors and gray colors. It's kind of a new vibe I'm going with. I used to do this look a lot, but more with browns and um, kind of bronzy colors and auburns. So if you're interested, keep looking, and we're going to start from the beginning. So hope you enjoy, and please like and subscribe. Thanks. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna start with a fresh face. I just got out of the shower. My skin's a little dry, so we're gonna do some extra moisturizing stuff. Here are my bare nails. I have no extensions today, but they're good for eyeshadow. So we're gonna start with my Evian face mist. Here it is. I usually will use more of a primer water, but since my skin was a little dry, I just wanted to moisten that up. Alright, now we have my primer. So for my primer, I'm using the Chanel LeBlanc. It's called a Light Creator Brightening Makeup Base, and it has SPF 40. So it's a pretty good sunscreen base to use in the summer, and it's really brightening and opaque as an underlayer. So it's great to use if you have more dry skin and if you're wearing more full coverage foundation, because it really does kind of brighten things up underneath and does kind of leave that layer. So if you're not wearing anything too full coverage, it might still look a little pasty. So next up we have the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. I'm using number 3 in Fair. My roommate and I, we actually share our foundations a lot, and we have really similar skin tones, but we both kind of vary between fair and getting a little color in the summer. So right now this foundation is a little bit too dark for me, but I'm going to work with my contour and my highlight to kind of tie it all together. You'll see that when I start to put it in, I need to add more to my neck. I'm using this brush. It's a Dior number 11. It's a foundation brush. I like these flat brushes because I can basically spread out the exact amount of product I want to use, and then I go in with a damp beauty blender and I press it into the skin to give it that finish. But this way I can really control how much product I'm using, because sometimes when you go straight in with a blender or something else, it soaks up the foundation and you have to use a lot more than you actually need. Alright, so this beauty blender I'm using is from Real Techniques. It is the best version of a beauty blender besides the Beauty Blender brand that I have used. My beauty blenders get dirty and kind of stay dirty for pretty quickly. I go through them probably once every 6 months. I do wash them all the time, but I feel like a fresher beauty blender really just makes a difference. So I highly recommend the Real Techniques brand. You can get it at a drugstore or at Ulta, and it's pretty much the same thing as the $20 version. So like I said before, you can see that I did my face and I feel like the color is a little bit intense, so I'm going to just add some more onto my neck and bring the foundation down. I'm going back in with that Dior number 11 brush, and then I'm going to dab it with my wet beauty blender to blend it in a bit more. So next up I'm going to actually do a little color correcting. This is the Dior Fix It color number 200, the orange color. I'm going to use this just underneath my concealer for my dark circles. I often use a yellow tone color corrector in this kind of area too, but the orange works great, and so I'm going to put it under my eyes, in my inner corner, and in that spot in my nose because I get some dark spots there. And I'm going to press my beauty blender into that product before I layer my concealer. Next step is concealer. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Canel, which is number 2.75. I use a slightly higher number in the Fair and Light category for concealer products, and I also use things that have a bit more of a pink and peach undertone as opposed to a yellow undertone, something a little bit cooler. Again, these products are a bit dark for me at this point of the year, but this is what I use in all of the summer months, and again, my contour will definitely pull this all together. Next up for my contour, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit in Fair. Got this at TJ Maxx, so it's great. And this is a Bobbi Brown face oil that's really good to add to these cream contour kits. Make sure you use something that's not too oily. This way the product spreads and you can kind of build it up a bit more, and they harden in these pans, so it's a good product to use. I'm going back in with that same Dior foundation brush, and I'm kind of just dabbing the product into place. I don't really want to drag it across my face, and I don't want to drag it over all of the foundation and concealer and stuff that I've layered before, so I'm just going to pat that in. And before I go in with the Beauty Blender on this, I'm going to also apply my contour. I'm using the shadow color in this palette for my contour today. I usually go in between this one and the slightly darker one called Fawn. I'm going to suck my cheekbones in and just draw that line. That's where you want the contour to be the darkest, and you want to shade it up towards your eyes on that part. So now I'm going to drag it across the top of my forehead, the more contoured your forehead and bronze your forehead looks. I feel like it really kind of pulls the rest of your makeup together into your hairline, and there I put it along my jawline. You got to kind of frame everything. I'm going to go in with this angled contour brush. I don't know what brand this is or where I got this. It was a gift, I think. But I love something that's got a little bit of fluff to it, but is also pretty short and stiff, and the angle is great. I'm starting right at that point closest to my lips, and I'm actually dragging the contour back into my hairline and up at the same time. So that line is really where you want the contour to be darkest, and it kind of shadows up. And then on your forehead, you kind of just want to blend it down. The darkest is at the top, and then at your jawline, you kind of just want to shadow that all in. That's just going to create a shadow outline at the bottom of your face so that the top and the sides of your face don't look so random. I'm also doing it a little bit at the bottom of my nose to give that a matching shadow. And yeah. Now back in with my wet beauty blender, I'm going to press everything in. I'm going to start with the highlight colors. I'm adding this highlight above my concealer in the brightest spots, and I'm going to press all of that in first. And then with the angled edge of this Real Techniques Beauty Blender, I like to save that edge just for my contour, and that kind of fits perfectly in that jawline spot and in those cheekbone spots. So here's my powder. I use two powders. I'm going to start with the Glossier Wowder in light medium, and then I'm going to move into the Kylie Cosmetics soft pink color. This Glossier powder is great to wear in the summer as the only powder that you set your face with. It's got a little bit of coverage, but it's also really sheer, so I put it over cream blush all the time. But since we're doing a pretty full face, I'm going to use this as my base setting powder and put this all over my face, and then I'm going to bake and add a little bit more highlight with that Kylie soft pink powder. The interesting thing is that the same reason that I use pinkier concealer colors for my under eyes is the reason that this pink tone powder works actually really well to even brighten more those under eye spots while also not looking too white or too yellow. And that's why I love this baby pink. I'm using the KKW contour like sponge brush, and I like this just because it's a lot smaller than the normal beauty blender, and I can really kind of be direct with the powder. It's not very easy to wet this, and I usually would wet a beauty blender even with powder, but this works pretty well, and I like how I'm able to do just a little bit at a time, and I build out that triangle shape under my eyes, and eventually that bottom of the triangle, we're going to blend into the rest of the contour, and we're going to kind of seal it with blush and bronzer. And here I am putting that same soft pink underneath my contour to kind of brighten that line a little bit more and give that cheekbone line even more definition. And I usually don't bake so much, but this technique is working pretty well, and it doesn't lead me to looking too, done up for a day, look. So one thing I do in the middle of my makeup routine is, because my eyebrows are pretty dark and full, I get powder all over them. And so I will, halfway through, after doing my powder, go in with some micellar water and get that loose powder right off the top. I'll usually use a cotton swab or something, but I didn't have it today. I just took the micellar water on my fingers, rubbed it on, and now I'm just going to like brush it through. And you'll see that after this is done, my brows are back. They're not grayed out and hidden anymore. Definitely more sharp. I'll list this Sephora brow comb down below. It's great. Alright, so blush. This is my absolute favorite blush. I have been using it for 3 or 4 years now. This is my #1 color. I have it in a few colors, but this one is the shit. It's the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush, and the color is Incandescent Electra. And I'm using this Laura Mercier brush. I have no idea what it is, but it's so round and fluffy, and it spreads this product from the apples of my cheeks backwards perfectly, and it has just the right amount of shimmer. It really makes your face come alive, It looks like you have a little blood rushing through your face, and you've got some glow. Alright, so bronzer, the classic Hoola by Benefit. It's so buildable, and it works on so many skin tones, and you can really do exactly what you want with it and not go overboard or go overboard. And I'm using this Sonia Kashuk brush. It's like a stippling brush, and this is how I like to apply my bronzer, because it's really tough if you don't have a light hand. And the difference between, my application process of contour and bronzer is that with bronzer, I actually start at the hairline and usually work my way down the cheekbones. And with contour, I start at the bottom of the, cheekbone line and move my way back to the hairline. So it's kind of about where you want the darkest part of the shadow. In this, I'm kind of just starting at the back of the face and moving it forward so it's as sheer as possible. And hopefully by now you can see that even though the foundation was a bit dark to begin with, that with all the different shadow and light colors and the blush, that we're pulling it all together, and it's not too different from the rest of my body. For today's eyeshadow, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Basics Naked 2 palette. It's mostly matte colors except for that first light color, and like my most favorite palettes that I've used, I like to use every color, start from the lightest to the darkest. The only one I'm not going to use today is the shimmery one, because I'm going to take my shimmer from somewhere else. So we're going to start with this Sephora brush. It's from a holiday set, and it says that it's a tapered crease brush, and I'm going to use the 2 lightest colors with this to sweep across my crease. It's a really great transition color brush, and all 5 of the brushes that I got in this set are some of my favorites, and I'll be using some other ones from this set as well. But here I am applying the very first color. It's called Stark, and it's kind of a pinky transition color, which is cool. And so I'm going to use this brush on both Stark and Frisk, which is the next one, and we're just going to start at the outer corner of the eye and kind of make sure that entire crease line is as evenly opaque in the right areas and sheer at the top and bottom, if you know what I mean. So here I'm going into the second color. It's a little bit more gray. Like I said, it's called Frisk, and I'm putting it in the same transition crease areas, starting from the corner and sweeping it across the crease shape. And after I do that, I'm actually going to brush off all the excess shadow on there and use the clean brush to blend that all a bit better, the first two colors, and kind of just really get that blended. Next up, I'm going to grab my Jeffree Star for Morphe brush, which is a fluffy brush but pretty pointed and direct. And this is the JS6 brush, and I'm going in with the next darkest color, and again starting at the corner but really kind of drawing in the first kind of line into that crease shadow that I made. This color is called Cover, and again it's just another matte gray that's kind of going into the darkest part of the palette, and I'm really just deepening that corner. And I'm going to go back into my fluffy tapered brush and again blend it all out. So now I'm going into the next color, which is called Primal, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to deepen that center line of the crease starting at the corner and sweep it inward. So it's always darkest at the corner and lightest, you know, in the inside of the eye, but that's just the way that you can kind of control where the pigment is. You don't want to drop too much pigment on the inside of your eye first. Now I'm going into the last color, which is called Undone, and it's a matted out kind of deep gray, and I'm just going to kind of fluff that into the corner. I'm not really going to drag it out too much. Oh, I got some fallout, so I'm using that stippling bronzer brush to kind of pull it across, and I am pulling it out a little bit to make a wing, but I'm pulling it out a lot more than I'm dragging it in, even though you have to kind of drag it in to blend into the rest of the shadow. And what you're doing here is kind of just making a wing effect. This way it's kind of going to look like the lashes on the corner of your eye are darker. Here I'm taking another Jeffree Star for Morphe brush. It is JS13, and it's a really small round brush, and I'm using some of the darkest to lightest grays from the outside to the inside of the lower lash line. I use the darkest color at the corner to blend into the darkest color on the top, and I'll just use a few other ones to blend it across. Here I'm darkening the Undone color again, just a little bit more. It's kind of making a little bit of an arrow shape, like a corner wing, but we don't want to bring that too much into the crease because this is kind of just going to make your lashes look really dark and snatched. So now I'm going into this old Kylie Cosmetics bronze palette because the light color in this palette is really great. It's super matte and super bright, and it's so much better than the bright color in the Urban Decay palette, and I'm going to just press that onto the center of the lid and that whole area that I didn't put any shadow. And that is going to really bring out the center of the lid and create that contoured eye look. Look at the difference. I could have done this with the light color in the Urban Decay palette, and I could have also done it with the really light shimmer one that I'm not using, but I wanted this look to be mostly matte. It's kind of the more casual look I've been doing these days. So I'm pressing it into the other eyelid here and just blending it. This brush is also from the holiday set from Sephora, and it's called a small shadow brush, but it really holds the pigment well. Now I'm using the Dior Show On Stage Liner #1 in matte white. It's a really great white liquid liner, and I'm going to just use this in the center and kind of bring it to the inner corner of the lid. And this is also a really great look to do if you can kind of blend it into a dark, you know, liner wing, but I'm not going to do any liner on the wing of my eye today. I tried to just get that effect with the shadow. So I'm basically just brightening the lash line where the white shadow was to begin with, and that's really going to open the eyes. Now I'm going to dip into this Anastasia Moonchild palette, which I've had for years, and I'm kind of just going back to it. And I've been using a blue and purple highlighter tones in the inner corner lately. It's kind of a look I'm into. So I'm taking Purple Horseshoe, which is the purple color in this palette, on a Morphe brush. I think it is M421. It's great for metallic and shimmer colors, and I'm going to press that to the inner corner of the eye. Since the rest of the look is a matte kind of cut crease look, I wanted the inner corner and the highlight on my face to be kind of a little unexpected. I'm using this Stila Magnum Triple X mascara. It's the travel size, but I love this mascara. I need to buy some more. I always get compliments when I wear this mascara. And I am going into my lashes in a technique I've been doing for a little while, which is that I do the entire row of lashes just at the bottom first, from below. You see I'm holding the mirror from below, and I'm just doing the bottoms of those top lashes, just the parts closest to my eye. And I do kind of a round of that on each eye, and then I'm going to go back in to both eyes and do the tips of the lashes. And this way I can really control where the product goes. So I did the bottoms of the tops first, and I'm dipping in, and now I'm going into the tops of the lashes and really getting those tips, and that really kind of gets as many lashes as possible. Here I'm doing this eye, and you will see that I'm about to get mascara on my face, and I'll be so sad about it. Oh, there it is. Really sad. So I had to let this dry for a few minutes, and then I scraped it off with my nails. My best tip is to kind of just let it dry, and then you scrape it. I guess here I'm using my Great Lash that has a smaller tip at the bottom to do my lower lashes. I probably went to this because I was scared I was going to do it again with that Stila brush, but I love the Stila mascara. This is really good for the lower lashes because that tip gives you definitely a lot more control. So, taking my thumbnail, and I'm just scraping that dry mascara off my nose as best I can without fucking up all of the layers of makeup underneath it. And it looks pretty good, but I'm just going to take this beauty blender. It has a little bit of product on it, and press it in. Okay, I had an itchy nose there. For highlighter, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Naked Illuminated Highlighter in Aura, and this is such a cute little compact. It comes with a little brush underneath, but this highlighter is one of my favorites. It's not really a normal highlighter. It's more of like a shimmer powder. It definitely is very glittery, and it's probably too glittery for some, but I love it. I'm going to use the brush, and with the brush I'm going to put this on the high points of my cheeks. It blends in really well with that Hourglass brush. And I'm feeling pretty confident about, the way I can use this brush, so I'm actually going to use it on my eyes too. Even though sometimes I'd go in with a really small eyeshadow brush to do this, but I'm going to put a little bit on my collarbones, kind of tie my shoulders into the whole makeup look, and yeah, I'm doing above my eyebrows, on those high points, on my forehead, and then I'm going to go back in to the compact again, and I will do it on the high points under my brows. And I feel like that's a cool highlighter look to mix with this matte eyeshadow. Something a little bit softer than a, really shimmery gold. I'm going in on my nose, my Cupid's bow, and yeah. For lip, I'm using this NYX lip pencil in Nude Truffle. It's a soft brown, and I believe the number is SPL 855. And I'm going to line my lips with it. I'm going to give a little extra attention to the corners of the lips. After I do, a good outline around the top and bottom, I'm going to give that brown into the corners. My lips were a little dry, so here's my Weed Slut Brand Coconut Lip Balm, and I'm going to just give my lips a little bit of moisture before I keep adding product on top. I'm going to do a lipstick after this, so definitely a yummy lip balm to use. So again, I'm going back in with the lip pencil, and I am focusing on those corners to give the corners a little bit extra shad. And then a little bit more on the bottom too. It'll really make the lips look just a little bit bigger. So for my lipstick, I'm using this Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in Stoned Rose. Very fitting color. It's a really pretty cream lipstick. It's not matte, but it's not shimmer either. And I am going to put this in the rest of my lip. I'm not going to put it too all over. I don't want to cover up all of that brown lip liner, but yeah, I think these two colors together are really great. They look super juicy. And I'm going to fill this in on most of the center. And then after this, I'm actually going to take one more lipstick and brighten up the center of the lips. Oh, here I am adding a little bit more shadow to those corners and to the outlines. So basically, for the last step, I am using this Benefit They're Real lipstick. It's a super bright pink lipstick. It's kind of cool. It's got two colors so that you can kind of get this effect, but I'm going to use the brightest part of the lipstick and put it just in the center. I'm putting a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom, and this is going to make your lips look just a little bit rougier, and you know, maybe like you just drank a little bit of Shirley Temple or something and that you just kiss someone. I love this effect. You just add a little bit of red or pink to the inside of your lips. And now I'm just going to spray my face, set it all together. I'm using Mario Badescu lavender spray. Kind of just melts everything together and makes everything just have a little extra moisture to it. So that is the final look. I hope you guys like it. I think that there are lots of ways to do it. You can use browns, you can use grays, you can use taupe colors, but it's a really easy way to kind of make your eyes look bigger and to look done up without being too done up. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know that my filming and audio quality isn't the best right now, but I just started, and I hope that as I keep going that you'll be able to see my progress. Oh, I really like the blue inner corner too. I think that's kind of a fun thing. I've done it with some lime green and pink too, but alright, well, please subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll get to doing another look soon, and please give my video a thumbs up. I love you guys. Thanks so much. Bye!